What a hot week it's been on the Gulf Coast. Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama. It has been scorching, and it's been scorching today. And so I've already been outside a few times. When I went out early this morning, it wasn't as bad, but as the day progresses, it's been getting worse and worse. Listen, I want to talk about something that I believe is very important about patriotism. I hear so many people talking about patriotism, and it seems as if we are losing patriotism in America. I remember after 9/11, whenever those Twin Towers fell and the plane crashed into the field and the plane crashed into the Pentagon. And I remember after 9/11, there was American flags everywhere. People going to churches and praying. I mean, people singing, "God Bless America." I can remember on more than one occasion, I was in school and we would go to Walmart, or we would go to, I was in college at the time, we'd go to Walmart, or we'd go to a bookstore or somewhere, and we would just start singing "God Bless America." And people would join in singing with us. Whenever it was a national anthem, people would stand and put their hand over the flag. And the other day you're watching a WNBA game, and there's only one, that has her hand over the flag, and that's Sophie Cunningham. And the other team didn't even come out for the singing of the national anthem. I mean, it's embarrassing whenever you see so many Americans that are not being patriotic. I saw a video the other day of a guy that he got into a fight with a guy because he wouldn't stand at a professional football game. He wouldn't stand for the national anthem. And it just seems as if patriotism is going away. We're not talking about it. Our children, we're not having conversations with them about patriotism. Last night I attended an event, a legacy event at the Savonian Lodge in Biloxi. And we had a tremendous crowd. Great number of speakers were there. Our Attorney General was there. Lieutenant Governor was there. Our Secretary of State was there. Our State Treasurer was there. Tommy Duff was there. The ambassador from Croatia, was there. I mean, we had an unbelievable crowd. Several mayors, and of course, Mayor Fofo was a gentleman, the man that was in charge of the event. And it was good food. I mean, it was great. But all along the wall and on the front of the stage, around the entire building, there was 4x4 by 6, 4 foot wide, about 6 foot long, of names all along the front and the back wall. The names of men and women who gave their lives in the service of this country so that we could be free. Whenever I see things like that, I'm reminded of the importance of patriotism. I'm reminded of the reason why we have freedom in America is because of men and women that were willing to pay the price for our freedom. So when I see people that won't put their hand over the heart for the national anthem, whenever I see people, that won't stand for the national anthem, it aggravates me, it irritates me, and it makes me mad, just to be honest with you. I was in Buffalo Wild Wings. It's been a couple of weeks ago now, and as I was in there was a game about to start. It was a soccer game about to start, and we were watching the World Cup, and it was a group of probably 10 or 12 young people, high school age, 11th and 12th graders, that was sitting to my left. I was sitting there, and the national anthem began to play over the TV, and it began to play over the speakers. Well, anytime the national anthem is played, if I'm out in public, even if I'm at a restaurant, I will always stand. I try to teach my children, to do the same. I noticed half of those young people sitting at that table stood and put their hands over the heart. They got quiet and they watched. That made me so proud as just a man, an American, being there to watch those young people. Nobody made them do it. I mean, it was a bunch of 11th and 12th graders. I mean, their parents wasn't there, but there they were standing for the national anthem. So I called my waitress over to me and I said, "Hey, look, and I sent like 4 or 5 appetizers to that table. And I said, "I want you to send this to them. Tell them that it is because of their patriotism, because they stood for the national anthem." I wanted them to know that there was a man that was in that room that was thankful that there was still some young people in this country that is willing to stand for the national anthem, even whenever typically people don't. Because typically people do not stand. Normally whenever I stand in a restaurant, when the national anthem is being played over the TV, I get these weird looks. Like, what's he doing? Why is he standing? And so I was very proud in that moment of all those young people. I want to talk today just a few moments about how patriotism protects liberty. How patriotism protects liberty. Listen to me very carefully, and I'm not going to get into this today as much, but I will come back to this. There's a lot of people that have immigrated to this nation that do not love America. There's a lot of people that have come here from other countries that want to destroy America. There are people that are here under the banner of Islam, and that is going to be promoting Sharia law. That is not here because they love America. They are here because they want to take over these United States of America. That is why they are here. There are 59 countries in the world today that are under the banner of Sharia. They already have Sharia. It's already available to these people. Why would they want to come here? Why would they want to come here and promote Sharia and their religion that would override the Constitution? Why would they want to come here if not for the sole purpose of taking over these United States of America? I'm seeing it happen in Dearborn, Michigan. We're seeing it happen in places in Texas even. We're seeing it happen in places in California. People say all the time, Texas is going to remain red and that nothing can hurt Texas. And I'm here to tell you, if Texas don't wake up, Texas is not going to be red. Texas is absolutely going to turn blue. Matter of fact, Texas might be even one because of the arrogancy of many in Texas. And I'm just here to tell you, you can get mad at me all you want, but just because of the pride of some of the people in Texas not being willing to stand and fight and push back. Now, there are some, and I'm thankful for that. But every time I talk to people from over there, like, we got it taken care of. And all I'm going to tell you is, if we don't stand, you're going to see Texas, they're going to fall to Islam. It will happen. Just as it's going to happen in Michigan, and it will happen in Mississippi, and it will happen in California, and it will happen all over these United States of America if Christians and if patriots don't wake up. Now, there are people that follow my page on social media, whether it's YouTube, Facebook, mainly Facebook, that are atheists. And matter of fact, if I post a pro-Jesus or pro-God post, they will get on there and comment. Why are you talking about God? Why are you talking about Jesus? And they're atheists. They don't believe in God. But they're patriots, and they love America, and they love the red, white, and blue. And anytime I talk about the red, white, and blue and talk about those things, they'll comment, and they're pro-America, pro-Constitution. They're pro, I love it because the Constitution was written based upon biblical values. They're pro-Second Amendment. I mean, they're pro-religious liberty. They're pro-freedom of speech. They just get on to me whenever I talk about it, because I do talk about it a lot because I'm a pastor and I'm a Christian, and so I love to talk about these things. My point is simply this, that if we don't continue to push back, and if we don't stand for what we believe in as Christians, and if we want to become cowards, and if we want to just be quiet, listen, they will take over this country. And so I've even seen state party leaders of the Republican Party, state party leaders want to try to downplay Muslims and Islam and Sharia in America. Now, they're just either ignorant, or two, they just don't want to offend people, and they want to try to earn the vote of some of these people, or three, they're just, I don't know. I don't even want to get into the third. I would hope that some of these people, as smart as what they are, that they could understand, Sharia and Islam and all those type of things. And so my point is, we need to teach our children about patriotism. We need to talk to them about the men and women that have died for our freedoms here in America. And we need to push back against the agenda of the left, which will absolutely destroy this nation. So I want to give you just a few things on how patriotism protects liberty. The first thing is patriotism begins with gratitude. Patriotism begins with being thankful. But we live in an unthankful generation. We need to teach our children the importance of being thankful. Being thankful. It is so important. We need to teach them to pray and thank God for their food. We need to teach them whenever they see a man or a woman in uniform to go and be thankful for those people that are in those military uniform, being thankful for firemen, being thankful for first responders, police officers. We need to teach our children to be thankful for their school teachers. Patriotism, it begins with gratitude, being thankful for this nation, being thankful for the men and women that have died for our freedoms. But we need to teach them the importance of being thankful. President Reagan said this, freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. And he is right. We have to do a better job at teaching our young people, our children, the importance of being thankful. If you scroll on social media, in which I do often, sometimes, I see a lot of posts on social media of these kids fighting, of just disrespect. I mean, I see a lot of that happening. It is because they are not thankful. Let me give you the next thing. Patriotism unites people. The reason why Islam is able to come in here and to take over as quickly as what they are is because there's not a whole lot of unity in our country. Now listen, I get that we have a Republican Party. I get that we have independents. I get that we have, Democrats. I get that even within the Republican Party, we have disagreements on things. There's a disagreement in the Republican Party about Muslims and Islam and all of those type of things. And I get that. But there's one thing that ought to unite us all, and that is our patriotism and you and I being thankful for this country. Listen, if you can't be thankful for the men and women that have died for our liberty and our freedom, then there's something wrong with you. There's something wrong with you. I don't know what to say to you. My mind does not even compute that. But patriotism will unite people. And we are to be united around this front of loving our country, loving the United States of America. After 9/11, you saw it everywhere. There was American flags everywhere. There was people singing "God Bless America" everywhere. Nobody was sitting for the national anthem. And then the NFL started, people kneeling for the national anthem. Then the NBA started, people kneeling for the national anthem. And then you had teams that wouldn't even come out for the national anthem. The WNBA is just now getting people to watch the WNBA. And now you want to have teams not come out for the national anthem? I mean, are you kidding me? I mean, you know how quickly your ratings will drop and your ratings will fall whenever you start disrespecting the national anthem. I mean, it will fall as quick. The NFL, they learned really quick. I mean, the NFL learned fast that we was more in love with our nation than we was with the NFL. Patriotism defends the Constitution. I mean, the patriotism will defend our religious liberties. The patriotism will defend our rights to bear arms. That is what freedom and that is what patriotism will do. It will teach you to be thankful. It will unite people. It will defend the Constitution. We need more and more people defending the Constitution, especially in today's world whenever the Democrats are trying to tear it down. You have Islam will 100% tear it down. We must defend the Constitution. We must stand for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We cannot back off of the Constitution. It is what this nation, it is the law of the land for the United States of America, and there is nothing that should replace that. It is important that we teach and that we understand that the Constitution is the most important. Outside of the Word of God for me as a Christian, the Constitution is the most important document that we have in these United States of America. Patriotism demands sacrifice. It demands it. I asked my wife this question the other day. What are we willing to sacrifice for our nation? Our forefathers sacrificed so much for these United States of America. Men and women have died in uniform for our nation. What are we willing to sacrifice? Oh, we don't want to speak too much or too freely because we don't want to offend someone. We got to get past all of that. Listen, you're going to offend people. It's part of life. It's part of what happens. Whenever I stand on my constitutional values, of course it offends people. Whenever I stand, and matter of fact, it's defending the people that are offended. That's the amazing thing about the Constitution. The people that are offended by the Constitution are defended by the Constitution. They are given the right to be offended. They are given the right to speak out because of the Constitution. I should defend the Constitution. I should stand for the Constitution. I should be willing to sacrifice for my nation. Patriotism encourages civic engagement. This is where I believe one of the weaknesses are among Christians, and that is our civic duty and our civic engagement. Christians are not engaged like we should be. If we was engaged like we should be, we would win every election. The candidate that stood on the constitutional values and biblical values would win every single election. If Christians would get out and vote, and if they would vote biblical values, we would win. It encourages you and I to be engaged in this arena. You know why I'm engaged in my church? Because I love it. You know why I'm engaged in my family? Because I love my family. You know why I'm engaged in my nation? Because I love her. I want to fight for her. I want to defend her. I want to stand for her. And so that's why we're going to fight for her. It's important. Patriotism encourages civic duty. Christians should be, and we should show patriotism. Absolutely. I'm going to read you this. Patriotism. Now, I want you to understand something. Patriotism must always remain subordinate to loyalty to God. Whenever the Bible says we must obey God rather than man, okay? As a Christian, I must obey God rather than man. Let me give you an example. In some of our states, abortion is legal. I don't think it should be. I'm against abortion. I'm against killing babies. Absolutely. I'm against it. And I think people ought to go to jail for aborting a baby. I think the doctor and the mom are to go to jail. Absolutely. But unfortunately, in certain states in these United States of America, there are certain states that have that right to kill babies. Now, I don't believe that they should have that right. You should never have the right unless you are defending yourself. Someone breaks into my home, I have the right to defend my family, and I will defend my family. But I don't think a mother has the right to go and murder her babies that's in the womb just because. So I'm going to obey God rather than man on that. I don't care if man gives you the right to do it, it's still wrong, and you still shouldn't do it. That's just a perfect example of obeying God rather than man. So I want you to understand something. I do love America, but America is not perfect. We have some things that need to be changed, and I believe that you should change them the correct and right way. We have a Constitution, and we have a constitutional right to make changes under the Constitution. And I think that one of the changes that we need to make in the United States of America, and I'm just giving one example, is that of abortion. There should be no right to murder a baby. Now, people can get on here, they can give me, what about this? What about that? What about this? What about this scenario? What about that scenario? And they'll give me 10,000 different scenarios, and there's only about 2 or 3 that I would say, boy, that mother and that father, they just need to pray and get with God. And that, they just need to pray, get with God. But of my own personal conviction, my own personal belief, I don't believe you should ever murder a child that is in the womb. Our future depends upon you and I being patriots. The future depends upon it. It depends. It depends upon it. The reason why Islam is going to continue to gain traction in America is because of people not being patriots. I saw a bunch of motorcycle people go to Dearborn and was marching. They were patriots. They had the American flag. Whenever I see Muslims march, I don't see American flags. They're not here because they love America. They're here because they want to take over America. So I gave you just a few things on how patriotism protects liberty, how patriotism protects America, because patriotism will protect America. I want to encourage you to be involved, be engaged in the upcoming election. 2026 is fast approaching in November, and I'm going to get out and I'm going to vote. I'm going to encourage all of you to get out and vote. We cannot allow socialism to gain any more traction in America. We cannot allow Muslims to gain, or Islam and Sharia to gain any more traction in America. We must push back against that here in America. We must push back against Sharia. Yes, under the Constitution, people have the right to worship God how they see fit, as long as it's not infringing upon someone else's right, or as long as it is not infringing upon the Constitution. The Constitution is not a suicide letter. It is not. And so you and I should understand that, and we should fight for the Constitution. And someone has a right to be a Muslim. Someone has a right to be a Baptist. Someone has a right to be a Catholic, to be a Pentecostal, to be whatever religion that they want to be, or not to be involved in a religion. They have that right, but they do not have the right to overstep and overtake the Constitution. So if their religion oversteps the Constitution, then their religion is unconstitutional and should not be allowed. Like Sharia should not be allowed in the United States of America because Sharia oversteps the Constitution. We're going to talk about that at another time. I've already done 2 videos on Sharia. I'm going to do a 3rd soon on Sharia. I just wanted to talk today about patriotism and how our nation depends upon it. Thank you for tuning in. If you haven't already shared the Facebook page, Instagram, if you haven't already shared on X, if you haven't shared the YouTube link, I would encourage you to share on how patriotism protects America. May God bless you, and may God continue to bless the great United States of America.